it's the third episode of People and Politics, and I'm really looking forward to talking to my next guest. Michael McEwan and I have been connected for quite some time now, and we've exchanged a lot of messages through social media. Michael is a freelance writer and producer and broadcaster, and I'm really looking forward to talking to him. So, a very warm welcome to People and Politics. Michael, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's great to connect with you at last.
Yeah, no, thanks for asking me on, David. It's been nice to speak to you for the past few months and stuff. So it's nice to put a face to the name.
Yeah, likewise. No, I feel like we've been connected for ages on Facebook, and I've seen your work off and on. So it's really good to connect at last. So thanks for that. And so for the purpose of the people who don't know, that you're a freelance writer and presenter and broadcaster. Is that correct?
Yeah. I do all that, David. Yeah.
Yeah. And you seem to have quite a portfolio because you've done all sorts of stuff from radio to TV, and you've done a lot of stuff. Is that right?
Yeah. I've kind of built up over the years, David. And started at the bottom. And work my way up. But yeah, so yeah, you could say I've been about.
Very good. Very good. And so am I right in saying that you're from Barhead in the west, and you went to a school called Ash Craig? Was that a mainstream school?
No, that was a disability school. I know some people call it a special needs school, but I don't know about you, but I don't like that word, so I just call it disabled school.
Yeah, I totally agree. When I was at school, which is 40 years ago, and I was in what they called as a special school, and I think there were about 7 special schools in Edinburgh at that time. And anyway, it just shows you how language has changed, over the years, because like you said, it's not so nice to call them special needs skills as a disability skill. So were you ever in mainstream school? Was there ever any talk of you staying in mainstream, or were you always destined for special school? And how was it?
So I went to Richmond Park in Glasgow, and that was a primary school, David. I went on to Richmond Park had a kind of like feeder school, and Craig was at the feeder school of my primary school. So I mean, you could say that I've been in disability education all the way through my kind of life, and I suppose at college as well, that I'll speak about in a minute or two if you want. But I went on to college to still do a kind of disability course as well.
Right. But yeah, that's pretty interesting because I went to I went to mainstream primary up until about the age of 12, but I was having some miserable times at primary school. As you can imagine, all the slagging in the playground, and I was running away. And then, so I think I was about 12 when I left mainstream and I went into what we call then special school. And but do you think people like you and I would go to special school nowadays, or do you think there's more integration?
Yeah, like so to me, there's more integration, a bit more than what it was 40 years ago, because I'm coming up for 40 next week, David, so I'll be in the
That's
40
nothing.
club.
Believe me, that's nothing. I've got 10 years of it.
All right, okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think like from a personal point of view, David, right, if I had to look back, then maybe if I had to rewind the clock back or whatever, like I would maybe go to a mainstream school now,
Yeah.
because, and it's not to say that I was against my peers and my pals and all that at school, but you know yourself that when you go to a school, I call it a bubble, like you're in a bubble with disabled people, and that's okay because I had most of my friends have a disability or a learning disability now. Um, but when you come out of school, then you're surrounded by, I would say, in my words, kind of like random people.
Yeah.
So you've got to learn how to cope and how to deal with, like everyday situations. Um, but whereas in that school, as I say, you were surrounded by your own people. And I mean by your own people, like people with a disability, but also that no matter where were going in the school, you always had like attendants, like we call them, that to help people to say, well, where you going, what you doing, and
Right.
like when you were, I don't know about you, like, but when you got older, maybe I would say maybe like, maybe like 15, 16, 17, like you wanted to have your own space
Yeah.
because that you were going to kind of like adulthood in a way.
Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying about this bubble and special education because I was in that system from I was 12 up until the age of 20 because I went to a disability school in Edinburgh until I was 16, and then I went to a disability college in Coventry in the Midlands for
Wow,
4 years. So by the time I finished at college, I was 20. And then I went from there to 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 university in Dundee, and it was like stepping back into what I call reality because
mm,
I don't know if that's a good choice of word, but like you say, the whole disability school is like a bubble, and college was like a bubble as well. So I think my life really changed and got good when I went to university. And I was with my peers as well because when I was at disability school, I resented not being with uh, my peers, people that I knew where I lived, and I think that's affected, and yeah, our life and that a lot of friendships I have. So I'm sure I'm in a kind of similar situation to them. Yeah. So you went on from school to Motherwell College, I think. And is that where you did media studies?
Funny enough, David, I didn't do media at college.
Really?
Yeah, no, I've not got a qualification in media. Um, even though you would think that when you're reading my CV and all that, but I haven't got a kind of media degree. Yeah, so I went to Marlborough College, and a bit like you in a way, but Marlborough College had a kind of back to that word special unit again,
Yeah.
where they had like people with disabilities, but they weren't doing mainstream courses. So I went to college for 4 years, but I spent 2 of my years doing a course called Prospects.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've heard of Prospect before, but like Prospects is like I mean, yeah, it's like going back to primary school again, right? So you learn how to cook, you learn how to clean, you know all the basic stuff. And so I was there for 2 years, and every year you have a meeting. Like I think they call it a case review meeting where
Mm-hmm.
people speaks about you, even though that you're in the room. So I was like my mum and dad, my support, my social worker, people like that, and so in my second year, I felt as though, well, what the hell am I going to do here? Because I'm going to leave college with no qualifications whatsoever. And I knew I had a meeting coming up in like 2 weeks' time, say. So I spoke to my mum and dad about it. And obviously, because of your mum and dad, they support you in what that you want to do. Um, and then I said to them at the time that I wasn't happy. And obviously, because you said that you're not happy, the obvious question is for your mum or dad to say, why are you not happy? And I guess say, well, basically, X, Y, and Z. Um, so they said, look, whatever you want to do, that we'll support you and all that. So I basically went behind my tutor's back and got an interview to do, believe it or not, again, it's not, it's totally different to what I'm doing now, but I was doing business admin and computers.
My
Um,
goodness.
yeah, and basically, so I got an interview and I got in that course because Marvel College has got a lot of people with disabilities, but the people it's on the mainstream course with a disability, they get like one-to-one support, and I would need one-to-one support as well. Um, so I got on that course and I went to my meeting at the my meeting with my tutors and all that, and they were talking about, oh right, so what you got to do next year and all the rest of it. And I basically just said, well, I've applied for a course, and they just basically turned around and never said anything to me. Um, and I thought that was a bit ignorant of them to do that, because obviously I was expecting them to say, "Oh, well done, good luck to you," and all that. But like, they never said that. I mean, they basically coming out to say you can't do that. You're disabled. you, that would be a bit better than just kind of a bit funny and a bit awkward.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got on that course, and so I was there for like 2 years because my business admin course was over 2 years, so I was there for like 4 years. 2 years doing bugger all. And well, I say bugger all because the course I was doing wasn't suitable to me. And then the next two course, it kind of pushed me to what I wanted to be at college for, to get like a qualification and stuff like that. Back then it was, I'm showing my age now, David, but back then it was access courses. Now,
Heard of access control? I remember that word.
yeah,
Remember that.
yeah. And then access, and then after that, it was, I think it was kind of intermediate. So you went from the access was a lower level, and like the intermediate was kind of high.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I got my qualification, and I left college, and then I did something completely different to what I'm going to be speaking to you about.
So I was so did you work for a while in administration?
So this is when it becomes a bit more difficult, and because trying to get people into work with a disability is bloody difficult,
Yeah.
David, as you know, and it's still difficult today. So I got my qualifications, and I thought, oh, what am I going to do? You know, because like I've never been to the job centre before, and how it works, um, and my mum helped. My mum phoned the job centre, and I got assigned a kind of disability advisor at the job centre, and I went there every Friday, every 2 weeks or something like that. And again, I didn't do anything in business admin, because even though I've got that qualification, it might be out of date now then, because it was years ago that I'd done it. But like, so the job centre, I said to them I wanted to work in media,
Yeah.
and basically at the time they said you can't work in media. And now I wish they were sitting here and say, well, you know, you told me all these years ago that I couldn't work in media. Look at me now, like, and all that. So the this was when I was 21, David, and like I wasn't very confident to go out myself, and
I
you
know.
know, so they said to me, like, what we'll do is we'll give you some work experience in a shop in Paisley called Summerfields. And it was just like, you know, packing shelves, like work experience for like 6 weeks. And I wasn't looking, I know it sounds bad, but I wasn't looking for money at the time. I was just looking for a bit of experience
Yeah.
just to get out the house, because I don't know about you, but like I could go out myself, but like I didn't have any pals and all that to go out with. So like I wanted to do that. So I was in Summerfield for like 6 weeks, and the manager and the women from the job centre came out to the shop because I was meant to finish after 6 weeks. And they said to me, Michael, you're doing well here. We're going to offer you another 6 weeks. So I was in there for like 12 weeks without pay. All I was getting was my travel expenses. Now, I asking Bahag, as you know, in Paisley, so it's not a million miles away.
Right.
So I'm guessing that, you know, travel expenses would be about £4 or £3 or whatever it is. So anyway, but that was during Christmas, and that was the busiest time of the year. And they used to use me for, you know, like slave labor and all that. And
So I was about to say, so Somerville got 12 weeks of essentially free labor from you,
yeah,
which is unfair. So that sounds rotten. Yeah. So it raises the next burning question. So how did you get into media?
okay, so yeah, so a long way for a shortcut there, David. But okay, so I've always been into media since I've been like a wee boy and all that. I've always wanted to be in front of the microphone, or or I've been on TV at the time, because radio was my dream to get. That was just my dream job to get into, and I started working at hospital radio in Glasgow when I think I was 18 at the time, 18, 19. And as I say, that kind of helped my confidence as well. But I knew that wasn't going to be a long term thing, because a lot of people like starts off at hospital radio and work their way up. So yeah, and I was there for like 8 years or something, and then so my job on the Friday night was to go out to visit different people in the hospital, different people in the ward, and asking for like what song you would you like to be playing in like hospital radio. And some of we get told this as well. Some of the patients didn't have any visitors because like they might have been elderly patients.
Yeah.
So we were told to spend a bit of time with him and say, oh, how are you feeling today? And or the weather's quite bad. All these kind of small conversations, but they meant a big thing to these people. So I was there for like 8 years, and then I went on to produce the sports news.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, and then that's when the fun begins in terms of my kind of media career. I also started back then.
That sounds great. And since then, I'm writing. You've done a lot of work for BBC, and you're a commentator, and you've done some great work. And either the first time I saw you on telly was the piece you did about Lennox Castle. And and it was it was kind of shocking piece actually. And I wanted to ask you how it felt to do that, you know.
Yeah, well, thanks for watching a difficult bit in the news about
That's great.
Linux Castle. Thanks. Yeah, so I kind of like pitch ideas to like the BBC and all that, and I've been quite lucky because every kind of idea they said, well, yeah, but also they say, yeah, but can you do this a bit more different and all that. So the Linux Castle idea was, when was that? I think that was 2 years ago, David. I think that was
But it was a wee while ago. I can't quite remember. It was a couple of years. Yeah.
yeah. I think, in fact, I think that was the first year of lockdown. It was about, in fact, it was about December time. So the idea was, Lennox Castle, back then was, now let me get this right now. It's been shut for 25 years back then.
Yeah,
So
I think I read it closed in
just
2002,
yeah,
which is not that long ago.
nope, nope. Exactly. When you look at it like that, it's not. So the idea was to interview. So I put that idea forward, and they said to me, "Yep." So what I did was I was working with a producer at the time, and we managed to get that commissioned. And I don't know if you've been up to Lennoxtown before, but when they say it's in Lennoxtown, it's actually not. It's like outside Lennoxtown. It took me about half an hour to bloody find it,
And
the place. Um, and then when you walk up to it, it's like a big, massive um, castle. Part of the castle went on fire in 2001.
right.
Um, So that bit that you saw in the news was, I think that was a nurse's bit of the hospital.
Right.
So I got in touch with a disability charity called Sea Chains, and Sea Chains supports a lot of people with disabilities and in their own homes and all that, you know. But they had a patient that was in Lennox Castle for maybe about 20 years. Now the sad part about trying to find someone for Lennox Castle was most of them died because most of them's old, and I mean old as in, you know, I hope nobody's going to catch up with me after this, but like 70, 80, you know.
Yeah.
I interviewed Chewy, like you saw in the bit, and he did well because that was the first time that he's been back to the castle since he got out. And he actually did well because I thought, oh, no, he's got to get a better. And I did get upset because it's like around. I mean, you're just walking up this hill, and then when you're walking round the corner, it just kind of like hits you, the castle, and then it's well, oh my god, I don't want to go near because it brought back so many memories. Um, and that was interesting because what he told me is um he told me some shocking stories kind of like off camera about like, you know, like if he was having like a long lie one day, because I mean there wasn't anything to get up for in the castle because every day felt like the same as, you know, yesterday or whatever. But he said to me that one day I was lying in my bed, and if I didn't get up out my bed, the doctors would actually shake my bed till I get up, and stuff like that. And then he did. Obviously, he didn't speak about this on the camera, I don't think, but he said to me that he wanted just to commit suicide
Wow.
because it was that bad, and like he ran away. And I don't know if you remember the bit where I interviewed him outside the castle. So behind us was a big kind of it's in the shape of a swimming pool.
Okay.
But obviously it's full of leaves and all that, you know, because it's been lying empty for years. And what he was saying to me was, if if he was misbehaving or if anybody was misbehaving, they would just shove him in the swimming pool just to basically shut him up in a way.
Yeah.
But he did well to do that. And then the nurse I spoke to was saying that, you know, like every night she went home, she actually felt guilty because she went home, shut her front door, um, she could make her dinner, she could have what she wants for dinner, she could watch the TV or go out or whatever. But she said people in Lennox Castle didn't have that choice whatsoever. So that's why I wanted to kind of like highlight that point about like you know, to the kind of mainstream world, if you know what I mean, about, you know, it's not all plain sailing for people with, you know, disabilities. It's kind of hard going and all that. And I mean, the story needs to be told, David. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree that people need to know, you know, what went on like Castle, and there was a place, uh, there was a place on the outskirts of Edinburgh called Gogarburn.
Yeah.
I expect that was a similar scenario, and
Yeah.
I can remember watching um, uh, watching the piece. I could see how upset the attitude that Huey got as they got near the castle, like you said, and brought such a lot of stuff back to him. And as you say, people need to know that because it closed in 2002, which is really not that long ago. And I think, what does that say about the way we treat disability in this country? It tells a real story and raises the question whether or not we've really moved on from it or not. These places might be closed, but how are people like Huey being treated today, and what's he doing with his life, and what opportunities has he got?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you think of like, I know I'm going off on one here, but you think of like self-gig support, and then you think about the castle. Well, like that wouldn't work in that day, and it still doesn't work for some people now, like today. Because I mean, I don't know about you, but I've heard there's some stories about like they're not getting the right budget, and I mean, there's some areas in Scotland that they don't know about self-directed support. I mean, self-directed support's been out since I don't know 2010. I'm not I'm guessing when I say that I might be wrong, but it's been out for like years and
all time.
still, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was the 1990s when places like that began to close. It was the 90s that they shut Gogarban. And at that time, there was a thing called the Care in the Communities Act.
Mm,
And, and, and that was meant to replace the care that they got in the institutions. But at the time, the criticism was that there wasn't enough money,
mm.
and so people were getting moved into the community, but not getting the support they deserve, which I would wager is not dissimilar from the situation today.
Yeah,
That
something similar.
Yeah, the funding for social care is just tiny. Oh, excuse me.
So
so, so that I was gonna ask you about another piece that you did that I really appreciate. I think it's on BBC Social about disability employment rates. You did about that, and I think you said rightly in the report that the employment rate is about 52% among disability people compared to 85 or something in the able-bodied community. And I was going to ask you if you thought your disabilities held your career back.
That's a good question. Yes and no, but I'm a very, I don't want this to come across bad, but I'm a very pushy person. Um, if people say it's no, then you've got to ask them. So you've got to ask the question, why are they saying no? Because there must be a way that they say no, if that makes sense. So, yes and no, but I think I've got to a level now where I'm happy at, but I always like to push myself to, whether it's to report and kind of like mainstream reports, like because I mean I can spend all day and maybe you're the same talking about disability issues because we're very passionate about that, but like I like football and I like other things as well, but I would just love to, but that's a kind of media problem in terms of like there's not a lot of people with a disability
Yeah,
reporting on mainstream issues, and that really annoys me. And yeah, but I mean, I'm happy what I'm doing and all that, but yeah, I want to report on everything.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. No, I'm very, very conscious that when there's a disability story crops up, they'll get you or somebody else. They'll get a disabled presenter to present on a disability story, which I think it looks really bad.
yeah,
Actually, because as you say, I would like to be a presenter, presenting on anything, but something that just happens to have a a disability, and I'm sure you're the same. And I think part of the problem is, up until very recent years, you just didn't see people like you and I on mainstream media
yeah,
channels, did we?
yeah, and soaps as well, David.
Yeah,
Like EastEnders or River City or things like that. But yeah, you're right because in fact, when I get asked on podcasts or and when I'm on with you today, um, I always go back to the Paralympics in London because I feel as though that it's kind of changed people's attitudes toward people with disabilities. Now, I'm not saying that everyone with a disability should be involved in sport because I know a lot of people with a disability either can't play sport or they just hate sport, and that's fine. But to me, I think that was a big moment in terms of because after that, you saw people in adverts with a disability. I mean, you even see people now in Strictly Come Dancing with a disability.
yeah, yeah. What do you think? And a few years ago, that would have been unthinkable.
Yeah, yeah,
And I couldn't agree more with you. That I think London 2012 was a real changing moment. It had a big, really good impact on disability at London 2012. It was amazing.
not even that, David, but the whole awareness around disability as well. I mean, now you see adverts about. I mean, I was watching the TV the other night, and they've got an advert about RNIB. Now you wouldn't see that 10 years ago on the TV, and that's quite good. But I mean, we always want to do better. We always want to strive to do better, but I mean, it was better than what it was 40 years ago because, like,
Oh yeah,
40 years ago, they would just speak about disability, but they would just speak about it for a minute, and that's it, and move on to someone else. But when they speak about disability issues, they didn't have anyone on the TV, the likes of you or me or other people with any other, disability speaking about disability cases. And so I mean that is getting better. I mean, because when you asked me the question about schools early on, I would maybe, um, you know, my opinion that I would maybe shut disabled schools. I know that sounds bad, and I might get a lot of stick for saying that, but like and I know some people might need special needs schools because I think you get from a physio and all that, but like if you get more people into mainstream, then I think society would be better than what
yeah,
you know. And but yeah, I mean the Paralympics changed a lot of attitudes as well, it let people see that people with disabilities can speak to the camera or can or do podcasts or different things, you know.
Do you think it's more difficult for people with communication difficulty? Because I've been very conscious that you do see more and more disabled people on telly, which is great. And you sometimes see wheelchair users or people with various kinds of this, but you still don't see very many with verbal communication. And I wonder if you thought that was an extra, barrier for people like myself.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be right. But I mean, you just have to look at Rosie Jones. I mean, she's one of the top comedians, but unfortunately, she got a bit of kind of stick on Twitter or X as it's called now. But it doesn't, But it doesn't stop her. But I know what I mean because people we see that you've got a communication uh, difficulty, or but that shouldn't be a big kind of issue. Yeah, I mean, you still want to do the job. I know a guy. I don't know if you know him, Robert Softly. He's got cerebral palsy, and he went to school with me, and his communication isn't that great. That's terrible for me to say. I'm trying to think of, but
And
like he's a kind of actor now, and he's in the Birds of Paradise, so it doesn't hold him back. And years ago, I done a piece on the news about a boy with a communication difficulty, and he was trying to go into a nightclub, and the bouncers thought he was basically, drunk, pissed.
yeah, I
Um,
saw that. I saw that
yeah,
piece. Yeah, it was quite interesting. I've had that.
well, yeah. I mean, it's a common thing. I mean, I had that as well. Yeah, I had that as well. But like, the point being was that boy was on the report, but we asked him, "Are we okay? Are you okay for us to put subtitles up?"
Yeah.
And we didn't mean it in any bad way.
Oh,
That but because it's like I mean, he's a nice guy and all that, So, but it was okay with that and all that. But yeah, I mean, going out for a night out and you kind of get in places because people are people's get this assumption that because you walk funny, yeah, you're just pissed, and
yeah.
that's not the case,
I think it's so sad. I used to get that a lot. I was at, I was at university and that and I did a lot of drinking, and yeah, it was quite tricky. And it's trying to get in places, but I think or I hope it's getting better. And I hope, and as I say, I think Rosie Jones is doing fantastic work. I think it's great that she's on telly, but it's so sad that she gets so much stick. She's she must have very thick skin because she gets a lot of different on X, as you said. I was going to know whether you think the politicians, need to legislate to make it easier for disabled people to lead lives and employment and fulfillment. Would you like to see that?
uh, yeah, I would, but I don't think the kind of DD the kind of disability discrimination that it's not went very far to where I want it to go. But I mean, there's a few things here, David, about politicians should do more, and they should run in laws as well. But also, when you look at employment, employers should do more.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it should really go to government level to get into. No, I'll say that again. I kind of get a bit mixed up. I feel though that government should do more. Whether it's the Scottish government, Westminster government, or local government and local areas, but employers who actually wake up and smell the coffee, as it were, and say that, because they've got a great candidate for the job, but he's in a wheelchair. Now, disability should become second nature. Look at the person first and look at what they can bring to the job as well. So yeah, I think the buck doesn't stop at one person here. David gets a mixture of kind of people, but yeah, I know, kind of like I know what you mean, but I think we've all got a part to play. And what I mean by us all is not me and you, because we know that people want to work and people want to get houses and all the rest of it. I mean, like people making these decisions, whether it's employers or councils or what have you. Because I mean, every day you see stories in the news. It's like, uh, I would be brilliant to wake up one day and disabled people hasn't to fight.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I'm sorry, but we have to fight about what what we want to do, and it's against our human rights and all that. So I know that's a sorry, I know that's a kind of roundabout answer. That maybe you wasn't looking for that answer. But yeah, I still think everybody needs to do a bit more. And I mean, it's 2023, and like sometimes it feels like 1955.
Yeah, that's right. No, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's a very complicated issue, and it's not a simple answer, and that's something that needs to legislate. As you say, employers, everybody needs to do more, and sadly, the DDA came out in 1995. But we've not really come on far. So that it has changed a bit of things.
A bit, but not a lot.
But no, not a lot. And there's still a long, long way to go. And I think the only, and you can't change things without being, political. Without local or government level. But as I say, employers should do more, because I think at the moment they see it as something they have to do, rather than a kind of pool of talent that they tap into. They see it as a what's the word? They see it as an obligation or a drag, or they don't see it as an obligation.
I think that between you and me, we must know a lot of people with disabilities, but I would guarantee you that we were going to know one or two people out of that bunch of people that's in paid work.
Yeah, that's fair. I know loads of the disabled people, and very few are in paid employment.
Yeah.
But sad, things are beginning to change, but we've got a long way to go. And something I feel that's strong about employment.
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot more to hopefully I'll come out and get better. Hopefully I'll continue to get better.
Hopefully, but it gives me to continue to knock down the doors and ask I was going to say difficult questions, but it's not really difficult questions if you're thinking about it. You know, like why can somebody not work in the office because they're in a wheelchair? And obviously, when you know when people say that, well, we can't because health and safety and stairs and all that. I mean, that's because a lot of sugar, rubbish. You know, they should just, you know, they just go around the houses a wee bit, David and Skigger.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess annoys me. So yeah, it's very good that you're passionate about employment. I need to speak to you about that one day because
yeah, we
it
need
is
to have a
so
chat
annoying.
about that and maybe do a better work together on that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what he's But
Yeah, but I mean, the sad reality is, David, right? Is we shouldn't really need to work
no,
on you know what I mean. That should be a basic human right.
yeah, agreed. But sadly, it's
It's
far
not.
from it.
Yeah,
Far from it. But I think we could talk for a lot longer on this, and I'm sure we will
yeah,
talk for this a lot more. But it's been really great to talk to you today, Michael. I've really enjoyed your story, and we've obviously got so much in common and shared experiences. And I'd just like to thank you very much, you know, again for coming on my show and sharing it with me. Thank you.
yeah. Thanks. Keep in touch, David.
Yeah, likewise. Take care.
Bye.